Hey folks, my name's René Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is René Enriquez. Nickname Boots. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is René Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome back to another edition of Weekend Wiretap. But it's not a wiretap. We're going to do something a little different today. I found a little clip of a debrief I did for POST, that's Peace Officer Standard Training. And this is the organization that trains all law enforcement, right? It's well known. It puts together quality training, and this is a debrief I did with uh, Richard Valdemar from the Sheriff's Department. This is the individual who's in the behind the scenes of Making of the Black Hand in the video series I'm running, and he's there questioning me, as well as Special Agent Robert Marquez from the SSU, and another individual who I believe was from Richmond PD. There's three law enforcement sitting in front of me. In fact, I was in the hole at the time. This is done in Lancaster State Prison, 1990. Excuse me, 2004, 2005, right? I'm in the hole. I got snatched up in Lancaster for introduction for the purposes of distribution. I was bringing in large quantities of substance that looked like little broken shards of glass. You can imagine what that is, right? But I used to flood that yard with that. And I was in the throes of my addiction here. I was deep in it, right? I mean, I'm sober here because I'm in the hole and I have no access. But on the main line, I'm a full fledged dope fiend. This is a period when I relapsed, right? And I never denied that. I never denied that. When I went back to SNY after being with the feds for so long, I jumped right back into it. There was a one guy by the name of Aaron Diggs, good buddy of mine. He was a two fiber from actually from Gardena. Good buddy, man. He hooked me up. He hooked me up, and then from then on, as soon as I got there, he hooked me up. He gave me a gramo, and that was it. I did a shot, and then I was into it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna make some money while I'm here. And it was just that old mentality, right? You drop out of the organization, and you go through the debriefing process, and that's it. You're set loose to a mainline. All your negative thinking and behaviors are still with you. I still battle with some of that stuff today. Not addiction, but relapses in behavior and anger and stuff like that. I still have relapses. I'll be the first to admit it. And I think that's part of growth, recognizing when you do something wrong, right? But here, I'm in the throes of addiction, and I'm in AdSeg. I'm doing an 8 month shoot term. In fact, after being charged, they issued a CDCR 115. Now they're called RVRs, right? But they issue a 115 for introduction for the purposes of distribution, and they snatch up my cellie, little Johnny Ray. Uh, that's his name, Johnny, and his last name is Ray, R-A-Y, and his little boxer from Artesia is my cellie. And they snatch us both up because he's going out to visit to bring it in, right? And and they snatch up his visitor. They snatch her up. They take her to the hospital. They take it out of her JJ because she has it in her JJ, and they take her to prison. She does like a 2 or 3 year prison sentence on it. So Johnny and I go to the disciplinary hearing, and and I cut him loose. I tell the senior hearing officer, that's mine. He didn't know anything about it. It was going to be thrust upon him, and he really didn't have any part of the conspiracy, and and they actually cut him loose. I wrote the whole beef. It was a DA referral. I knew that they were going to file on me, or they're going to attempt to file on me. Uh, but I wrote it anyways. I was already serving 3 life sentences. What could they do to me? What could they do to me? I had no real aspiration of getting out at that time. I mean, I thought that the FBI abandoned me and everybody abandoned me, and I was just thrown back on a PCR. And I was going to live my best life, and I was going to be high. So I pled guilty to this, and lo and behold, they cut Johnny Ray loose. When Johnny Ray goes back to the main line, they start accusing him of telling on me. That's dirty politics in those PCRs. They don't need any paperwork. They just say stuff about people just to say stuff. That's the total effed up place that it is, those SMY yards. But Johnny Ray never told. I cut him loose. That's honest to God truth. You know, I mean, if he told, I'd say so. I'd say he told, but he didn't. I told him I'm going to cut you loose, and I cut him loose, and he went back out there and caught the blues. You know, nobody assaulted him or anything, but he got that jacket. You know, everybody started thinking that he was telling, but that wasn't the case. So I'm in here in ADSEG serving an 8-month shoot term for introduction with the intent to distribute, and they come at me and they say, "Hey, will you do this debrief for these guys? They're doing a training video." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I found part of that video right here. I found part of that video right here. But before we get into that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, hype the video. Hype, 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 folks. Very important for the algorithm. Do these things, please, today, now. Thank you. Okay, let's start with the video. I'm going to break this down as we go along. Although personally, I never had dealings with them. We had dealings with others, Asians, in Monterey Park. And we know that they had triads. We had ties with other organized groups in specific areas, methamphetamine cooks. We had ties with the Arellano Felix clan in Mexico. Bet Marquez had ties. Even some of my crew had ties with some of their lower rung dealers. Speaking of this, we're going to do an episode on Bet Marquez and Paparon, and I'm going to tell you my involvement with those cartels and sending people down there to meet with them and the whole 9 yards. But for the most part, I didn't know any of these people. I didn't know any of them. Like, I had a couple guys that worked for me. One of them was Tommy Dubby. One of them was Jesus Alvarado. Caballo and Toker from my hood. They worked for me. Pete Rincon, Richie Rincon. Those guys are on my crew, right? And I never met anybody they dealt with. I didn't know what they did or how they did it. They just did it. And they sent me my end at the end of the month, which was cool. I was happy with the little tidbit that I got. But these other figures, these like organized groups that dealt product, I didn't know those guys. I couldn't even identify them because I'd never met them, right? And that was an intentional thing, right? I could only flip on my head guys, and my head guys had to flip on the next guys. So it protected everybody all the way down the line. I didn't like corresponding with a lot of people because it brought a lot of heat, and that was to protect me and them as well. I mean, what could I say? He's on my crew. Yeah, he sends me money. I don't know what he does, but I think he deals drugs, right? That's all I could say. And I'm not saying this to say I didn't tell them, because if I could have, I would have. It was my debrief, right? And I told everything in my debrief. But I'm just telling you how it was in my crew. I had very little contact with the external crew. I had very little contact. I was a macro manager, not a micro manager. So I just dealt with the big stuff, right? Like the decisions and like, hey, they want to do this. Yeah, tell them, go ahead. I gave them autonomy. That being on my crew was like a luxury because I was so easygoing. I didn't ask for the lion's share of the money. I didn't want the lion's share of the money. I just wanted the power. The power was the juice for me. And having the ability to do whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, you know? All right, let's continue with the video. There are ties. I mean, anything that makes money is what the Mexican Mafia is all about. Anything that increases its political and financial power. And if that means dealing with the African community, that's no problem. Let's talk about that. Now, if you're in the general population yard and you deal with another ethnic group, it's like taboo. You can't buy from a black. You can't do this. You can't buy from this ethnic group or the Northerners. You can't do that. I think it's part of a strategy called market exclusivity. They have a demographic that is they are their customers, and they force them to purchase their products. I mean, they don't force them at knife point. Say, come buy this right now. No, they say, you can only buy from these people. Market exclusivity, right? So they want their product moved. I get that, right? But in my day, I would buy from BGF, Crips, you name it. There was a dude on the tier named Shadow from Venice. And good dude, BGF guy. He was from Venice, the Barrio Venice before. He was a black homie. But he became BGF. I used to buy from him. Sugar Bear, who was BGF. I used to buy from him. Honey Bear, I used to buy from him. In fact, Tretch and Evil from Raymond Avenue Crip. I think they were from Raymond Avenue Crip. Steve Champion was one of them. I forget Evil's name. But I used to give them product deal for me. And they would. So we had this like symbiotic relationship in the county jail where ethnicity didn't matter. We had like harmony there. Like real harmony. We did business together. There was no racial violence. There was no racism. None of that. We live next to each other in high power, and we functioned in high power together. But you cannot do that in the general population today.
All money is green. That's what the Mexican Mafia thinks. It's that money is okay. It's okay to do business with anybody as long as it's profitable. When you have Mexican Mafia members associating with senators, politicians, well-meaning individuals who believe in what they're doing is right, have no understanding of the nefarious intent of the Mexican Mafia, it will stoop to an all-time low to get somebody killed. And that's what these politicians, these clergymen, that some of the administrators have to understand. The Mexican Mafia will kill, and its whole objective is to control. So when you see these peace objectives, these stopping of the drive-bys, this is just fluff. This is fluff. This is fluff.
Let's stop that right there, because this needs commentary. Peace objectives. What is happening on main lines today? It's not called peace, because the IDF has said straight out, this isn't a peace treaty. Mexican Mafia didn't need peace, but so it's a halting of the hostilities, ceasing of hostilities. That's what they're calling it, right? But it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. The NF said flat out, we'll participate in this as long as it serves us. As long as it serves the NF, they'll do it, right? And when it doesn't, then they'll take action. Because they're not going to say it's a peace treaty. And the Mexican Mafia, the same thing. The one day it says, we don't need peace anymore. These guys offended us or they did this, they'll get up. And so will the AB and so will the Crips. There's no any black group, right? I'm including all inclusive, right? They'll participate in violence. So it's really a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think that the reason that they stay on the main line after 109 murders in 2 years after the release of gang leaders from the SHU is because they maintain the hands-off policy on COs. And there have been a number of assaults on correctional officers. Don't get it twisted. But those are from people from EOPs, Triple CMS, and SNY yards, right? Those aren't from active gang members. There have been a few isolated incidents where it's occurred, but that's an aberration rather than the norm, right? So understand that. They're adhering to the agreement that they established in the Ashker versus Brown Accord, so the administration lets them out. But there is no peace.
Mexican Mafia is trying to achieve something here, and it's doing it because it looks good. And it pushes law enforcement off a little bit because law enforcement's going to get bad public relations if they go in there and crack up a peace rally. You know, so they're held back, they're held at bay a bit until they understand the true intent of what the Mexican Mafia is doing.
So, that is a perfect closing right there. Look at CDCR has attempted to change policy for restricted housing units, stripping them down to commissary, making people doing extended shoot terms now, or RHU terms. And what is the big thing? An uproar. Oh my God, they're not giving them food. Oh my God. People are killing people. And there should be some consequences behind that. That means draconian measure. Then it means draconian measures. There should be some consequence to violating the rules in the CDCR. And you're seeing the CDC pushing towards that. And I think there's going to come a day where everybody gets snatched off that main line. Every active made guy that's from a prison group or a organized crime group is going to get snatched off that yard. Or interstate compact. I see it coming somewhere. Because it's gotten to the point where every hit that happens is a fiery red light that goes off. It goes off because there's so many hits. And some of the hits were audacious. Like brutal hits. And they were released in public. And you see them on TikTok and Instagram. So the CDCR is changing its policies. It's doing it in an incremental process. So I think more changes are coming in the future. Well, that's that segment of the debrief, folks. If I find more, I will bring you more. Believe me, we have tons of this stuff. Like hundreds of gigs just stashed away in files that I haven't even seen yet. But I found that one today, just stumbling around. Wanted to change up Wiretap Weekend. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. This is for the weekend warriors, the housewives, the truck drivers, those people, the true blues, the day oneers. All right, folks, with that said, peace out. Stay safe.
This is René Enriquez. Nickname Boots.